There is a brand new truck sitting in a driveway in Ohio. It cost $48,000. The owner has not had it a full week, and it has already lost around $9,600 in value. That is the average according to Experian's 2025 figures on new cars, 16% gone in year one. The truck looks like success. It even smells like success. But every morning it sits there quietly getting cheaper, while the loan payment stays exactly the same. Poor people buy stuff. The rich buy cash flow. One of those choices pays its owner every single month. The other one bills its owner every single month. Today you will learn to tell them apart on sight. So let me ask you a simple question. What did the last big thing you bought do for you the very next morning? A new phone? A bigger television? A weekend of upgrades? Most of it did nothing at all. It just sat there, losing value while you slept. That is the quiet cost of buying stuff. It does not register in a single purchase. It registers over 20 years of purchases stacked on top of each other. Every dollar handed to a depreciating object is a dollar that will never work a shift again. It clocks out the second the receipt prints. Think of every purchase as hiring or firing a dollar. Stuff fires the dollar on the spot. A good asset promotes it. Meanwhile, the person across the street bought something boring that sends money each month. Same paycheck, same starting line, wildly different endings. The gap is not income. The gap is what each of you decided to own. So here is the plan. I am going to walk you through 3 levels, from the everyday traps that drain your paycheck up to the quiet assets the wealthy actually own. Stick around to the end because the last one ties every other level together. It is the piece that explains how the rich buy all the nice stuff anyway, without ever really paying for it. That part will change how you look at your own driveway. Level 1, the traps that feel completely normal. Before the objects, look at the mindset underneath all of them. The first misconception is that looking rich and being rich are the same thing. They are opposites far more often than not. The designer logo, the leased badge, the table full of bottle service. Those are receipts for money leaving, not proof of money arriving. Real wealth is quiet because it is mostly invisible. It lives in accounts and deeds, not on the surface of a jacket. The person trying hardest to look wealthy is usually the one with the least underneath. Broke and flashy is a costume. Wealthy and boring is a balance sheet. Consider a simple test. 2 people earn the exact same salary. One buys a fresh badge every 3 years. The other keeps a paid-off sedan for a full decade. 10 years later, the quiet one is often tens of thousands of dollars ahead. You get to choose which one you are actually building. Now start with the car because it is the biggest trap hiding in plain sight. Remember that truck. New cars lose about 16% in the first year and roughly 55% over 5 years per Experian's 2025 data. A new car is not really a purchase. It is a slow leak with cup holders. Think about that for a second. Half the value evaporates while you are still making payments on the full price. Here is the part that should surprise you. The wealthy already know this. In an Experian automotive study, 61% of high net worth people drive Hondas, Toyotas, and Fords. The millionaires bought the boring badge. The strivers financed the shiny one. And the boring badge left more money for things that pay you back. So the next time you sign for a new car, picture that leak in the driveway. Here is the second misconception, and it is a sneaky one. People buy liabilities that feel like assets. The timeshare is the perfect example. It is sold as an investment in future vacations. In reality, the buyer pays upfront, then pays maintenance fees forever, and most resell for pennies on the dollar. It costs money every single year and pays nothing back. An asset feeds you. A liability eats. If a thing sends you a bill every year and never sends you a check, it is not an asset, no matter how the brochure describes it. Your feelings are a terrible way to classify money. The number on the statement never lies, even when the marketing does. Resale listings tell the real story. Units that once sold for $20,000 often relist for a single dollar, just to escape the fees. Now, look at the phone in your hand. A flagship phone now costs as much as a used motorcycle. It loses value the moment the box opens, and a better one arrives every single autumn. There is nothing wrong with owning one. The trap is upgrading on a schedule someone else set for you. Each upgrade is a small withdrawal from an account that could have been growing instead. One phone is a purchase. A phone every year for 30 years is a portfolio you quietly chose not to build. The device is fine. The habit is the leak. Look, you do not have to give up nice things to win this game. Now let's talk about the toys people actually finance, because that is where it gets expensive. Boats, side-by-sides, jet skis, the big screen on a payment plan. These are the toys people borrow money to own. A boat is a hole in the water that swallows cash, and the old joke is funny because it is true. The owner finances it, insures it, stores it, and then repairs it. It depreciates the entire time. Marinas are full of beautiful boats that get used 4 weekends a year. The slip fee, though, arrives 12 months a year. You are paying interest on something worth less every month it sits. That is not ownership. That is a subscription to a depreciating object with a loan attached. The toy is not the villain. Borrowing to hold it is, and the most expensive object of all is not a boat. It is just a number on a statement. American cardholders who carry a balance owe about $7,886 on average. Total revolving credit card debt recently crossed $1.25 trillion, per LendingTree's 2026 figures. And the average rate on balances that carry over sits near 21.5%. Let's be honest, no investment anyone can safely buy reliably beats 21% year after year. Run the math, and it stings. At that rate, a balance left alone can nearly double in under 4 years. That is compounding aimed the wrong direction straight at you. So credit card debt is not just a bill. It is a machine built to turn your future paychecks into someone else's cash flow. Somewhere, a bank is enjoying your interest as its monthly income. That is the whole game running in reverse against you, which raises the obvious question. How do you get on the other side of that machine? Level 2. The assets you can actually start with this month. This is where you flip the machine around so it finally runs in the right direction. Before the fancy stuff, notice the cash flow sitting in plain sight. A high-yield savings account or a Treasury bill pays simple interest for parking money safely. Rates move around, but the idea never does. Your cash earns while it waits. It is the tamest cash flow there is, and that is exactly the point. It is the on-ramp. You are teaching your money a new habit, showing up to work instead of sitting in a checking account doing nothing. Boring money that grows beats exciting money that vanishes. Every serious investor keeps a pile here, ready for the next move. Now step up to the simplest market cash flow most people ignore. A plain index fund that tracks the S&P 500 pays you a dividend. The yield is modest today, a little over 1% per S&P data in 2026. That sounds tiny. And here's the part that is easy to miss. Those companies raise their payouts over time, and every dollar can be reinvested automatically. It is not just holding a stock. You own a slice of 500 businesses that mail you a check for doing nothing. It is the least glamorous money in the world. It is also the money that shows up whether you get out of bed or not. Step up from the index, and you find the dividend growers. Coca-Cola has raised its dividend for more than 60 years straight, through every recession you can name. Think about what that streak really means. You could have bought it right before a crash, and the checks would have kept rising the entire time you held on. These companies are not thrilling. They sell soda, soap, and Band-Aids. But they have paid their owners through wars, oil shocks, and market panics. Slow and certain beats fast and fragile. A rising check you never have to think about is a quiet kind of freedom. Want the check to be bigger? There is a whole class of company built for exactly that. Meet the REIT, the Real Estate Investment Trust. By law, these companies must pay out most of their income to shareholders. Take Realty Income, which literally trademarked the nickname, the Monthly Dividend Company. It has paid dividends for over 50 years and recently declared its 673rd straight monthly dividend, yielding about 5% in 2026. Think of it as being a tiny silent landlord to thousands of stores, without the leaky roof or the midnight phone call. The company owns thousands of properties, leased to well-known chains across the country. When one tenant leaves, thousands of others keep right on paying. You buy one share, and a sliver of rent from real tenants lands in your account every month. No tenants texting you at midnight. No toilets. Just a slice of the rent. On repeat. Prefer to own the storage unit instead of the storefront? there is a company for that too. You have probably driven past a public storage 100 times. It is the largest self-storage operator in the country, and it is a REIT you can own, yielding a bit under 4% in 2026. Here is the quiet beauty of storage. The units are cheap to run, the tenants rarely leave, and the rent creeps up a little every year. Nobody stages a photo shoot next to their storage locker. And yet those boring orange doors quietly print income in every city in America. It is not exciting. Exciting was never the goal. Getting paid is the goal. Level 2 also includes assets you can physically operate. Take the humble laundromat. Industry figures put average revenue near $300,000 a year, often at 20 to 30% margins per Upflip's 2024 breakdown. One operator, Dave Menz, built 4 locations into roughly $1.8 million a year. The machines take quarters while he sleeps. The economics are refreshingly simple. Wash, dry, repeat, in quarters and card taps all day long. No inventory to spoil, and no returns to process. Vending routes and small storage lots work the same way. They are unglamorous. They run with far less competition than you would expect, and they do not care how anyone feels. A machine does not need motivation. It just needs to be plugged in and pointed at foot traffic. That is the entire business model, and you can start it small. Level 3. What the wealthy actually own, quietly, while everyone else watches their cars. Start with rental real estate, the classic. The magic is not the building. The magic is the tenant paying down your loan while the rent covers the bills. You put money down once. Then someone else spends 30 years buying the asset for you and hands over the leftover cash each month. Picture a modest duplex on a quiet street. The renters cover the mortgage, the taxes, and the insurance. Whatever is left over is called cash flow, and it lands every month, market up or market down. Investors measure this with a cap rate, the annual income divided by the price. A boring building with steady rent, believe it or not, can outperform a flashy one hoping to sell higher. The building is not the point. The monthly check with your name on it is the point. But rich people rarely stop at one building. They buy the thing that builds the buildings. Now the big one. The wealthy own businesses, or slices of them. Not always a giant startup. Often a plain cash-flowing company. A car wash, a plumbing outfit, a small manufacturer, a boring website that collects fees. A business is the rare asset that can pay you and grow at the same time. It throws off cash this year, it can be worth more next year, and you can hire someone else to run it. The math changes completely at this level. A small company might earn $50,000 a year in profit. It could still sell for 3 or 4 times that. So the same cash flow builds a growing price tag underneath it. That is the leap most people never make. You stop trading your hours for a wage, you start owning the thing that pays other people's wages. There is a middle path too, the franchise. You buy a proven system, a name people already trust, and a playbook that works. It is a business with training wheels, cash flow with a manual. Picture the golden arches on 1,000 different corners. Each one is a near identical machine tuned to hum. You are not inventing anything here. You are buying a machine someone already debugged, then running it well. It costs more upfront than a bright idea, and it fails far less often. The wealthy love things that are boring and repeatable. A tested system beats a brilliant hunch almost every time. That is why the quiet money buys the franchise while everyone else chases the moonshot. Finally, royalties. This is money that arrives for work you did once, long ago. A song, a book, a patent, a franchise recipe, a stake in a catalog. Somebody streams a track, and a fraction of a cent lands in an account. Multiply that by millions of plays, on and on. A single hit song can pay its writer for decades. Streaming turned that old trickle into a steady, worldwide drip that never fully stops. Big investors now buy music catalogs precisely because the checks keep coming. Recession or not. People hum the song for free, and the owner gets paid. That is the dream state of cash flow. The work is finished, and the money is not. You are no longer paid for your time. You are paid for something you already built. Now let's do the honest part, because I am not here to sell you a fantasy. Cash flow assets are not free money. Every one of them carries a real risk. Rental real estate can sit empty. A vacant unit still has a mortgage, and now it comes out of your pocket instead of a tenant's. Leverage cuts both ways. Borrowing to buy an asset magnifies your gains, and it magnifies your losses just as fast. In 2008, plenty of confident investors learned that lesson, right when the rent stopped and the loans did not. Consider a landlord who bought at the very peak in 2007. When the tenants vanished, the mortgage did not, and the bank did not mail a sympathy card. Businesses fail. Dividends get cut when a company struggles. And most of these assets are illiquid, which means you cannot sell in an afternoon when you suddenly need the money. It's not one thing. It is a stack of small risks you manage on purpose. The goal is not to avoid risk entirely. The goal is to get paid enough to make the risk worth taking and to never bet the whole farm on one field. So here's the last one, the piece that ties every other level together. Here's what almost nobody tells you about how the rich buy their nice things. They do not swear off the truck, the boat, or the beautiful house. They just refuse to buy them first. The order is everything. A regular buyer takes a paycheck and buys the toy directly. The money goes out and never comes back. The wealthy do the opposite. They take the same money and buy a small cash-flowing asset. That asset pays them a little. They do not spend that little. They feed it into the next asset. Then those assets pay a bit more, and that buys the next one, and the machine grows quietly in the background for years. Eventually, the cash flow gets large enough to cover the truck all by itself. And now the asset buys the toy every month, forever, while the owner still holds the asset. The buyer paid for the truck once, and it was gone. The owner's assets pay for the truck again and still stand there afterward. Same truck in both driveways. Completely different math underneath. The difference is not luck, and it is not a secret bank account. It is nothing more than sequence. Assets first, toys second. So here's the whole secret in one line. Poor people spend money to look rich. Rich people buy things that pay them, then let those things buy the rest. Read that twice. The rich do not buy the toys. Their assets do. Picture two neighbors, Marcus and Trevor, same street, same salary, same year. Trevor buys the new truck, the boat, the upgraded everything, all on payments. His driveway looks incredible. Marcus buys a small rental, then some shares, then a laundromat, and drives a used Honda the whole time. For years, Trevor clearly wins the driveway. Then the years compound. By the time they are 50, Marcus's assets quietly pay for whatever he wants, and he still owns every one of them. Trevor owns a driveway full of things worth a fraction of what he paid, and payments that never stopped. Same street, same start. One driveway impressed the neighbors for a decade. The other quietly bought a life. One bought stuff. One bought cash flow. And somewhere, a brand new truck is still sitting in a driveway, getting cheaper by the day. Now you know exactly what it is doing. If this reframed how you see money, subscribe and stay. Next, we break down the first asset to buy with your very next paycheck.